this video, I want to show you a very simple left-hand accompaniment pattern that's useful when you're playing a ballad in 3 time. If you take an ordinary chord like a C major chord, C is the root, E is the third, G is the fifth, and you displace the third up an octave and then play as a little arpeggio to the rhythm 1 and 2, 3. Sounds better an octave low, 1 and 2, 3. So it's 2 quavers followed by a minim, or 2 eighth notes followed by a half note. And what's important about that pattern is the fact that the third is kept away from the bass. When you play arpeggios and you have the third down near the bass at the bottom, it sounds terribly muddy. It's much better putting it up an octave like that. If you play a chord in first inversion, say C major in first inversion, with E in the bass, it's the same idea. You take the middle note out and put it up an octave. So you're displacing the fifth of the chord this time and play it to the same rhythm. In a bar such as the second bar, where the melody note is a long note, it's an idea to put an extra note in the bass on beat 3. 1 and 2, 3. So instead of 2 quavers and a minim, you're playing 2 quavers followed by 2 crotchets, or 2 eighth notes followed by 2 quarter notes. 1 and 2, 3. In a 7th chord like G7, you simply play the root, and this time you play the 7th, and once again the 3rd displaced an octave. You can miss the 5th of a 7th chord out, and it doesn't really affect the sound. So I did do some extra patterns in the left hand at the beginning of the video, and I'll go through those in a moment, but I just want to play through now simply playing the right hand in single notes and the left hand sticking mainly to that pattern. So here we go. So, single notes in the right hand. Right at the end, I put 1 extra note in. I put the 3rd of the final C chord below the melody just to beef it out a little bit. You can put the odd passing note in if you like. For instance, on the second line, when the A minor chord goes to the F sharp half diminished 7th chord, or F sharp minor 7 flat 5, you could play this. The usual pattern, 1 and 2. On beat 3, you go down to G, which makes it the 7th of an A minor 7 chord. I just think of it as a passing note in between A and the F sharp in the next bar. 1 and 2, 3. Okay, so let's talk about some of the extra things that I put in at the beginning. So first of all, I'm adding the rest of the chord in the right hand. So I'm starting off with this voicing. So I've got the 3rd underneath the 5th, but I'm also putting an added 9th in, the D. On bar 2, I'm changing the 9th to the root to create a bit of inner melodic movement. Back to the added 9th. And then on the 4th bar, instead of going back to the root, I'm going to the major 7. Now on the A minor chord, I did this in the left hand. I played root, 5th, root, and then a passing note, B, up to the 3rd of the chord. So 1 and 2 and 3. On the C7, I played a rootless voicing, the 7th in the left hand, the added 9th, the 3rd and the 5th in the right hand. and then I played G, the 5th, and root. So 1, 2, 3. On the F chord, I once again put an added 9th underneath the melody. G is the added 9th. On beat 2, I changed that to the root. 1, 2, 3. In the next bar, I changed, still an F chord, but I played it in first inversion like this. And I also added a note, a third below each melody note in the right hand. 1, 2. We're going to a C chord, but I'm playing it in first inversion. 1 and 2. And in the right hand, I did this. So the melody note is G. I'm putting the added 9th below it, going to the 3rd, and then to the root. 1. Adds a bit of colour and a bit of movement. Back to root position on the next bar. And once again, added 9th, the D just below the melody note, changing to C on beat 2. 1, 2. On the F chord, once again, added 9th, changing to the root. Now, just here, I played the chord, the C chord, in second inversion with G in the bass. And the reason for that is if you look at the root movement on the previous 2 bars, we've got F going up to F sharp. There's a very strong feeling of wanting to go to G. And then back to root position. Now, on this bar, I sort of extended the pattern. I started off with the basic root, 5th, 3rd, and then in the right hand I carried on in quavers. So 1, 2 and 3, and same thing on the B minor 7 flat 5 or B half diminished 7 chord. Back to the ordinary pattern on the E7. On the A minor chord, I added a 9th below the melody. I put the B in next to the melody note. And in the left hand, I did that pattern again. Root, 5th, root, passing note to the 3rd. On the F sharp half diminished 7th chord, or F sharp minor 7 flat 5 chord, I put all the notes of the chord in the right hand, and the left hand I started off with the usual pattern. But then again, I carried the arpeggio on in the right hand. The C over G, I'm not playing an arpeggio in the left hand here, I'm just playing an octave. On the next bar, instead of thinking of it as C over G, I'm thinking of this as a G suspended 4th chord. So C is a suspended 4th, or you can call it the 11th, but I've also, to add some colour, put the 9th, the A below it. And then when we change to G7, where the suspended 4th resolves to the 3rd, where are we? I'm also changing the 9th to the flattened 9th. At the C chord at the end, instead of going directly to C, I'm playing a deceptive cadence or interrupted cadence. I'm actually playing a major 7th chord, a semitone higher, D flat major 7. So that's D flat major 7. In the right hand, I'm playing the melody note C, the 3rd below it. In the left hand, I'm playing the usual pattern first. And then I'm playing this in the right hand. I'm playing major 7th, 3rd, major 7th, again an octave higher, and finishing with a C major chord, but once again with the added 9th. Okay, I hope you found that useful. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Thank you.